Oh boy, I didn't think this would be something we would ever talk about, but here we are. Now, our big source this video is going off of is Elliotte Friedman, because yesterday he did make an appearance on Sportsnet 650 radio, which of course is the Sportsnet version of Vancouver radio. So Elliotte Friedman went over, he had a few things to say about different things around the NHL. There are a few other great stories we can go over, and we're going to make videos about all that other stuff later in the week, but today's video topic revolves around my two favorite teams, and you can kind of hear me smiling right now because we're talking about the Vancouver Canucks and the Montreal Canadiens. So, we're going to keep things brief. It's Taj who tweeted out the quotes over here that I wanted to read for you, and they're pretty short tweets, you know? Elliotte Friedman thinks the Vancouver Canucks are looking for a defenseman. Elliotte says, I could see Victor Mete being an interest to Vancouver. There we go. That's the topic. Victor Mete to Vancouver. Do you see it happening? Hope you enjoyed this video. Show us 99. And bye. Okay, no, that's not what we're doing here. We're gonna get a little bit further into this discussion here. So, Habs fans are like, okay, Victor Mete, this is not new. And Vancouver Canucks fans are like, what in the world, Victor Mete, this is new. So, let's just go over the context here, shall we? Victor Mete was a guy whom we discussed in a previous video talking about the Montreal Canadiens and how other teams in the league might actually have interest in this guy. Not because the Canadiens are in a position to shop him or because they want to trade him or whatever, but because Victor Mete is just not playing. And the reason he's not playing is because the Habs have a D-core of Petrie, Weber, Sherratt, Romanov, Kulak, and Edmondson. Those are 6 guys that have been playing very well for the Montreal Canadiens. Victor Mete is technically on this team as well, but he has not played a single minute of ice time yet. Teams are wondering if the Montreal Canadiens would ever get to a point where Victor Mete would be actually placed onto waivers with the purpose of assigning him to the taxi squad. Because if he goes on waivers, it gives each of the 30 other NHL teams the chance to pick off Victor Mete. And because this is a guy who is 22 years old, he's a very nice puck-moving defenseman, he would have some interest, I would think. Now, I know Victor Mete has his haters out there. There are some people in the Canadiens fan base that really don't like Victor Mete because he's just not an impact player yet. And I say yet because Victor Mete has all the makings of somebody who can be such a very fluid offensive puck-moving defenseman, but we just haven't seen that translate yet. It's not even like he plays poorly, I think. Whenever I've seen Victor Mete play, especially in the postseason last year, he had 10 games played for the Habs against Pittsburgh, Philly. He was good. I really liked what I saw out of Victor Mete, even though he didn't produce all too much. He is, at his best, a guy who can take control of the play, break it in with ease, do some very good things in the offensive zone before finding a guy open with some good passing. He is that kind of very fluid, offensive guy who loves to hold on to the puck. It's just, he's not the best at it yet. That's the problem with Mete, is that he does have so much room to grow, but where he is right now is not really in the ballpark of being considered legit in that category, I guess. But, as I did mention, he is 22 years old, so there's a lot of room here for Victor Mete to become a better player. Sure, he's only 5'9", sure, he's only 183 pounds, but this guy's mobility, puck skills, offensive instincts, etc., they were all really good when he was drafted, which is why he is even used in the Montreal organization from time to time. Except not this year, because he hasn't actually been used. The Vancouver Canucks are in a position where they're honestly in the worst case scenario right now because they ended up losing a whole bunch of guys. They lost Edler because he got taken out. Same with Hamonic, same with Chatfield. Now they're in a position where if you go over to the projected lines for the Vancouver Canucks, you have Quinn Hughes, Nate Schmidt, Tyler Myers, Edler, who is back, thank goodness, and then you have Jordy Ben and Olli Juolevi as well. Now, Juolevi was pretty alright in the time he's played so far. He's been given very limited minutes, but hey, I've been a fan of Juolevi this entire time. I think he's improved as the games have gone on. He scored his first NHL goal 2 days ago, which is great to see. You also have Jordy Ben, whom a lot of people didn't really predict to actually being a part of the lineup in terms of the top 6 when the season began, because we had Hamonic in there potentially filling in a spot. A lot of people thought that he would take that place instead. But the way this Canucks D-core is assembled, where Jalen Chatfield was legitimately forced to play, he was very good, by the way, you were forced to play Brogan Rafferty as well. To the eyes of some, there is room for improvement here. And it's kind of funny because a lot of people would say, oh, the Canucks were out there in the offseason. They didn't do anything to acquire defensemen aside from trading for Schmidt, and they signed Hamonic at like the last second, even though this defenseman period in the free agent market was very good for guys who were looking for jobs, especially for cheaper deals. So who really knows? The Vancouver Canucks tried with Tyson Barrie. It didn't work out. They tried with Ekman Larsson. It really didn't work out. And as a result, they missed out on a few options, even though they went into the season with a decor that a lot of people said probably would have been somewhat successful. Because Canucks luck does exist, we did have a few of those guys get taken out, and it really did showcase the fragile nature of the Vancouver Canucks decor if you don't have the 6 guys that people thought were going to be a part of this team. Because remember, there was that one game where 3 out of the top Canucks defensemen on the lineup were Juolevi, who didn't play any games, Brogan Rafferty, who didn't play any games, and you had Jalen Chatfield, who didn't play any of the games. That's not great. You don't want to have half of your NHL decor consisting of only 10 games played. That's not fun. And Jordie Benn wasn't a part of the lineup then, because he was still out with the protocols, so it makes sense, in my opinion, to at least consider the idea of going after somebody else, especially considering the unforeseeable nature of the health status of these Vancouver Canucks defenders. And to top it all off, having Victor Mete as the guy in this conversation, it really does feel pretty strange. Firstly, I'll say this. Victor Mete, when he was drafted, was playing for the London Knights. He actually was paired up with Juolevi a little bit, I think, in that 2015-16 year, where Juolevi was taken 5th overall by the Vancouver Canucks. So already there's a little bit of an established chemistry there with Victor Mete. I know he's a left-handed guy, but he plays on the right sometimes. And I know I've had my concerns about that before. I definitely have, because the Vancouver Canucks already have Nate Schmidt and Jordie Benn, 2 left-handed guys who can play on the right too. And the reasons I had concerns about this was because of the philosophy that Brian Burke brought up on an episode during the playoffs, where the Vegas Golden Knights had 3 guys on their right side decor who were all left-handed defensemen. And as a result, it would have been a lot easier for teams playing the Golden Knights to send the puck out on their own left wing, because the left-handed defenseman on the right side, on the Vegas side of things, would have to reach over across their body to hold the puck in. And if you did that enough, you'd be able to catch them all off guard because you didn't have any naturally right-handed defensemen. Which is why, in my opinion, it was never really something I wanted to consider, having 3 left-handed guys playing on the right in Nate Schmidt, Jordie Benn, and whoever else, Victor Mete, in this conversation, if you wanted to do that. But you know, there are some defensemen out there who are just so nice with their skating that they can play the right side as a left-handed guy easy peasy, and the overall problem of having to reach across your body to get the puck when it's being dumped out is not really an issue to them. The ones that I'm thinking about, first off, Dominic Fensori of the Carolina Hurricanes. That's a guy who does a very well job at being the right side defenseman left-handed. Nate Schmidt, I think he does a pretty alright job at it. We'll see how Jordie Benn goes as the season goes on. Victor Mete, to me, has some very good skating, so I wouldn't be surprised if he evolved into that kind of guy, but of course, he still has a lot more to go through, which is why I don't really know if it would be the best idea for the Vancouver Canucks to go after this kind of guy, because even though Mete has been a proven NHL defender in the past, if the Vancouver Canucks are in a position where they get this guy, for example, and they actually use him because he's better than Jordie Benn or whatever, there's a lot of uncertainty that comes in the future because he's only making $700,000 this year. And that's this year. He will be a restricted free agent after this. So it really depends on what the Vancouver Canucks would actually be willing to give up. I saw a lot of people asking, oh, is it Jake Virtanen or is it Adam Gaudette or whatever? Any of these forwards the Canucks have that will be RFAs soon as well, and who are also in a similar status as to Victor Mete is on defense with the Habs, wherein the Habs have just so many other defenders that are above him on the depth chart. So I don't know. It really depends. Obviously, it's just Elliotte Friedman coming over here and spitting some suggestions that he believes could actually be somewhat valuable to think about. So let me know in the comments what you would think about acquiring a guy like Mete. I've been a believer in Mete the entire time. I will say that I'm usually a lot more optimistic when it comes to guys who exhibit flashier, more cool playstyles, but you know, I will say Mete has indeed had his fair share of NHL time. So if you see value in acquiring this kind of player profile, then feel free to let me know in the comments what is the most you would be willing to give up to Montreal if that was the case. And if you're a Habs fan, because I know we probably have our fair share of Habs viewers over here, what would you want from Vancouver? Please don't say Elias Pettersson, Quinn Hughes, and JT Miller. Please. Be realistic with these. Let me know in the comments what you think. I hope you enjoyed this video. So Trolls 99 and bye.